What's up everybody, it's Kevin here from Happy Beard Games, and today we're doing a Nintendo eShop game review of the video game FUR Squadron, which was recently released just a few days ago. Now FUR Squadron is a game that you might be like, what is FUR Squadron? What does that mean, FUR Squadron? Well, FUR Squadron refers to the animal characters, the furry anthropomorphic characters that are in this game. And the squadron part refers to the team of starship pilots that these characters are. Now that sounds very familiar to Nintendo fans and video game fans in general, because that sounds like the premise of another video game, Star Fox. And that's basically what FUR Squadron is. It's a Star Fox-like game. Alright, in today's video we're going to take a look at everything you need to know about the game FUR Squadron for the Nintendo Switch today on Happy Beard Games' review. And in this video we're going to look at the gameplay, the characters, the setting, the graphic style, the music style, and other things about the game, because for the most part I really enjoyed this game, but I have a little complaints. So we'll get into that at the end of the video as well. So let's jump in with today's review here on Happy Beard Games.
Dario ya Axel, wanna be mine lacuna lamina wade.
Now today's game, FUR Squadron, has been on my wishlist on the eShop for a while, ever since I first heard about it on a Nintendo News website. FUR Squadron looked extremely interesting to me. It looked like Star Fox. I love Star Fox. It looked interesting. I love the synthwave, retrowave graphic style and music of this game. And all that was true for when I actually got to play the game itself. So everything that I had hoped for in this game was all intact with the actual game that I had gotten played. Now, while we're reviewing the Switch version of this game today, the only home console version of FUR Squadron, it's also available on Steam and iOS. I believe it's been out a little bit longer on iOS. So right at the start of this game, you can already tell that this is something that I would like. I love synthwave music, I love the retrowave style. You can tell from my background, which is not just a part of this video. If this is the only video you've seen of mine, this is just something I have in my room pretty much permanently, this backdrop here, and you'll see a lot of that style in the game FUR Squadron today. The game FUR Squadron does not look exactly like a Star Fox game. What it does is takes a perfect blend of synthwave or retrowave style and aesthetic and blends it perfectly with the Star Fox gameplay, which seems like a no-brainer at this point, but before this game I wouldn't have really thought about putting a Star Fox game in a synthwave style. Sure, it makes perfect sense when you see it in this gameplay, but before this it's like, oh, I don't know, you would think of more like a Tron game or like a tank game or something like Atari style, but nothing like from the Super Nintendo or N64 eras. So you've got that familiar synthwave or retrowave style like from a music video. You've got the hills, you've got the sun in the background with neon lights, you've got those lines going down, and it just seems like a perfect thing. A lot of the times with music videos you'll see a car driving through a city in this style. But with this game, it's not a car, it's your Star Fox style ship in FUR Squadron. And it's a shooter in the style of Star Fox. And it's awesome. So let's go back to the beginning of FUR Squadron. When you first start out the game, you're presented with a nice home screen, a very clean menu that looks very modern and surprisingly not too retro, although it does have that synthwave, retrowave style going on in the background, which is nice to look at and is very appealing. So you have Start Campaign, which also sounds more modern than retro with the word campaign being there. The reason that they have Start Campaign as opposed to just start a new game is because once you've completed a level in the campaign, you can go back to the main menu and then you can select any of those levels freely at any time. Upon completing the base game, you can actually increase the difficulty and play any of those levels, granted that you've beaten it on that difficulty, again, in that higher difficulty mode, performance. The game runs very well on the Nintendo Switch, so if you're worried about sacrificing performance for getting it to run on your Nintendo Switch instead of Steam or your computer, Don't worry about that at all. I believe it runs at a solid 60 FPS. I don't know for sure. I don't have an FPS counter, but it seemed like it was a solid 60 FPS. It definitely feels like it is compared to the frame rate that we all know and love from Star Fox Original, and even that of Star Fox 64. Now this game runs very smoothly, the controls are perfect with the movement, and it feels a lot like Star Fox, which is once again an on-rails shooter in this space style. Now it's even more on-rails in this game, FUR Squadron, because of some of the controls. We'll get into that in a little bit, but it just runs smoothly. There's no stuttering, the load times are quick. Yeah, there's nothing much in the way of anything getting in the way of performance in this game. I thought it was great on the way that it played. The music, sounds, soundtrack, and voices in this game are great. Now, they didn't live up exactly to my expectations. It's kind of hard to tell when you just see a game on the eShop exactly what it's going to sound like. If you're just looking at images, you can understand kind of what the gameplay graphics look like, but you don't really get an idea of the sound. Personally, I love synthwave music. Synthwave music, everything from the 80s to vaporwave to synthwave and retrowave, and everything in between, everything from the Midnight and Gunship all the way to Windows 96, just anything with that synth sound. If it has synth in it, it's interesting to me and pleasing to my ears. So that's something that I listen to a lot. It's not the only type of music that I listen to, but it's something that I listen to a lot. And with this game, it just seemed like it had a really great sound and style to it, and also not only that, it had good music in the game, the music was fitting for the areas of the level in the game. What I mean by that, since this game is on rails, so things will happen at specific times, all the time, every time you play it, except for like bosses that continue on and on. Everything's going to happen at the exact same moment every time you play the game, so that way, the creators of the music can sync up events in the music, you know, different times for the music to get more intense, or change instruments, or get faster. That happens in this game at certain moments, so that's really cool. I think that's awesome that they did that. It really helps you get in the moment, get in the feeling of the game. When things get hectic in the game, things moving fast through the game, the music will speed up or get more intense, and that's really cool. I really appreciate that type of music. Detail for the music, not just having just, you know, repetitive songs over and over, or like a track selector. It's not like that. It's like you've got like music that actually goes with the gameplay, which is really cool. I think that's awesome. The sound effects all sound very familiar to like Star Fox fans or any spaceship shooter games fans, Star Wars, stuff like that. Everything sounds like lasery. It all sounds great. It sounds like very fitting, and it sounds like it should. The voice acting, on the other hand, is a little bit different than I expected. I wasn't sure if they were going to go for full-on Super Nintendo wah, 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 wah voices for the characters, or if they were going to go for full voice acting. What they did was, like, they did like a little bit in between. I'm pretty sure it's not in any language. I'm pretty sure it's just like a made-up language, which is cool if it is. If it is a made-up language, that's pretty cool, because I can tell they're saying the actual characters' names, but I can not tell what they're saying aside from the text. It could be in another language, I don't know. For me, it's a language I'm not familiar with. I think it's just gibberish. I could be wrong, but it just sounds like random sounds, which is actually pretty cute and charming for a game like this. Their voices, they don't get annoying. It's not like a Slippy situation. There is a character who's similar to a Slippy character, but he never gets to that point of annoying. He always comes off as cute and charming and wholesome. The main character is basically your Fox McCloud, and then your other character, which I thought was going to be like a Star Wolf type character, he's actually more like a Falco. And there's no Peppy type character, really. I guess Peppy's kind of fused with Slippy in this one, to an extent, because Slippy's like not just like the mastermind techie guy, but he's also like kind of like instructing you as well. But the sound effects that these characters make are all pleasing to the ear. They don't get annoying, they don't get repetitive because you don't know what they're saying. They don't bombard you with walls of text or too much text to read while you're actually playing. The text usually comes in between breaks in the gameplay, and when it doesn't, there's not that much text to read either way. So when you're shooting these monsters or aliens or robots or whatever they might be in the setting of the game, The text never seemed to get in the way of me, at least. Let's talk about the gameplay of FUR Squadron. There are 6 levels, 6 full stages to play in the campaign. Now, funny enough, when I first played this, which was a couple days ago, I've beaten the game twice so far. Once for my own, and then once for the review. I thought this was all a training mode. I thought because the characters are in this flight simulator, they're not actually out in space, that I was doing a tutorial or a training mode or something like that. Little did I know that after about half an hour of gameplay, that was it. That was the whole game. I mean, there's harder difficulties, yes. That's awesome. But the game was short, and Star Fox games are generally pretty short, but this was shorter than any Star Fox game that I've ever played. And not only was it shorter, it's easier, which is why I'd recommend once you beat the game once, play it again on the harder difficulty, because that's more akin to the Star Fox that you know and love difficulty. Whereas the basic easy mode is a little too easy, especially if you're a veteran of Star Fox games, or if you've played a Star Fox game before. So there are 6 stages in the game FUR Squadron, and the basic premise of the game is that you and your team of 3 anthropomorphic animal people are doing a flight training simulation. So this is all inside a computer. Keep that in mind during the whole game. You're all inside a computer. I'm assuming it's like an actual cockpit that they go inside, never actually shows it, and then it's like basically a VR thing they're doing. And that's a good reason for the graphics. The graphics are all kind of vector or like line style graphics with like neon lights and stuff. You know, the synthwave style. But all this like vector style graphics are part of the story too, because it's all a VR simulation, so it's not like they're actually out in space. And if they do make a sequel, I'm wondering if they actually go out into space and it'll look more realistic. I don't know, because this is all just like part of a training simulation and all that stuff. At the end of every stage, there's at least one boss battle. Now, these boss battles in FUR Squadron are very easy to find out exactly where the weak points are on the bosses. They're always red. The red lines on that part of the boss is exactly where you need to shoot to lower their health. And their health appears on the sidebar, one of the sidebars of the screen, and that's very similar to how it appears in the Star Fox game series. Now here's an important thing to talk about: controls. The controls in this game are great. They're pretty basic and very easy to pick up and play and understand for pretty much anyone. You've got the thumbstick, which allows you to move in a smooth circular pattern around the screen. You can move anywhere on the screen, but keep in mind this is an on-rails game, so you can't really go anywhere outside the screen. So you're just moving around and around the screen. Sure, the camera does pan a little bit as you move to the top or the left or right or bottom. It does pan a little bit, but it doesn't ever change your course of your character on that on-rails path. The rest of the controls are pretty much easy as can be because they're on screen the whole time. You've got the B button to shoot. You can also hold down B to charge up and do a lock-on shot. That's important. That's one of the most important things in the gameplay. Not only do you press shoot, you also have a lock-on if you hold down, which is important especially for boss fights because you can lock onto a boss's target point and then let go, release that B button, you'll shoot a stronger blast at him, which I use a lot in this. You'll see me use it a lot because I don't really like to just continuously point and click and shoot because I feel like I miss a lot of shots, so I tend to do the lock-on shot more than I probably should. You've also got the Y button for missiles. You can stock up to 3 missiles at a time if you collect them throughout the level to use in the boss fight or anywhere else in the level. You can also do the lock-on attack with the missiles as well, so it's really handy for that. And I'd highly recommend using the lock-on with the missiles so you don't waste those precious missiles, because you only find a few amount of them in the levels. And everyone's favorite thing from Star Fox and Star Fox 64 is back: the barrel roll. Yes, you can do a barrel roll. In this game, you press the R button to do a barrel roll. It's pretty simple and easy. Now we gotta talk about what's missing from this compared to Star Fox, because if you're wondering about this game, you're probably comparing it to Star Fox already in your mind, and you're gonna wanna know if this plays exactly like the Star Fox games that you know and love. And for the most part, it does, but it's missing a few controls. It's missing somersault. It does, yes, it has barrel roll, but it doesn't have somersault where you go forward and flip around. It does not have that. And while I mentioned this game is on rails, Yes, it's on rails, but there's nothing you can really do to stop the on rails movement. When you die, it's just game over, reset to the start of the level. There's nothing to really do to slow down the on-rails ride or speed up the on-rails ride. So there's no boost function either. Like in Star Fox, you could boost to get through certain things faster. There's none of that in this, and there's no somersault. There's a few other things that are missing too, but for the most part, it's pretty similar to Star Fox. It's just you don't have the option to really mess with the on-rails movement in this one. Your health bar is at the very top. You also have a laser meter which shows a 1 lightning bolt. You can pick up a double laser item to make your lasers do double damage throughout the level. And it'll be indicated on that top lightning bolt thing with a second lightning bolt option. The game has a combo plus percentage meter for your attacks and can add up to a higher score, which the score is tracked at the top of the screen next to your health bar. There's also an empty space. This is for your missiles. You can store up to 3 missiles in this spot. So you can find missiles throughout the stage. I recommend saving them for the boss battles. You don't have to. You can use it whenever you want by pressing the Y button. And remember, you can lock on with those missiles too. The 3 characters in FUR Squadron are Blaze, who's an otter or a ferret? I think he's a ferret. He's probably an otter. I don't know. I'm gonna guess that one wrong. I need to phone a friend. Blaze is basically your Star Fox, Fox McCloud type character. He's pretty much that, and that's all he is. He's the hero. You've also got Kiro, who at first I thought was like your Star Wolf type character, but he's more like a Falco. You protect him at certain points, and he gets kind of like, oh, I'll have to owe you one for that. And there's parts later in the game where Kiro will come and protect you and help you out when you need it most. Third character and most lovable of all is Axel, the Axolotl. He's a cute little salamander type character who has basically the best elements of Slippy and Peppy from Star Fox, and he has cute little emojis that he makes too, so he's a great character as well for part of the team. That's it for my review of FUR Squadron for Nintendo's Switch eShop right here on Happy Beard Games. Overall, I love this game. It was awesome, short, but very, very sweet. It was really good in terms of gameplay. It made me feel like I'm playing a Star Fox game, but with even smoother controls and a higher frame rate than I'm used to. It had great music, great style, great aesthetics. It was just a fun game. The characters were great. None of them were annoying. It was great. And then I realized it was over. It was just a sudden shock of being like, all of a sudden, man, it was like I was cut short. FUR Squadron was a great experience. Next time you're on the Nintendo eShop and got $10 or less to spare, go check it out. You'll have a lot of fun for a good half an hour or more if you replay it like I did. It's just a fun little game. It's awesome. If you like Star Fox, you'll love this one, FUR Squadron. If you like this video, please be sure to leave it a like, share with your friends, leave me a comment, and subscribe today for more classic gaming goodness. You can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right here on YouTube, and donate on my Ko-fi page. Alright everybody, thanks for watching once again. Bye!